Can't hit. Got her own. One-hand pass to Boston. Finds out over to Clark. Clark on the baseline under the hoop. Puts it in. Clark has deflected. Boston got it back. Clark long range. Yes.
Caitlin Clark stepped to the free throw line in overtime with everything hanging in the balance. The Indiana Fever needed every
Driving.
point they could get, and this was one of the biggest moments of their season. 2. It had been an intense, hard-fought game from start to finish. Indiana had fallen behind by 11 points in the third quarter.
Clark fading away.
Battle back, and then face a 5.
And then just no one home on the backside.
It's way too easy for Caitlin Clark in
point deficit at the end of regulation.
Clark with a steal. Showing off the handle. Back the other way. Caitlin Clark.
With overtime underway.
Clark from just inside the logo. Listen to this place.
Clark launches and hits. Pure.
To see if you can get somebody going to the ball.
Point 6 coming down. Here's the tie. Boston couldn't get it.
And the pressure at its highest, Clark calmly knocked down her free throw without hesitation. She never missed when it mattered most. Clark finished with 32 points and 10 assists for another double-double, leading the Fever to a 114-106 overtime victory over the Chicago Sky. It was one of Indiana's big
Settled in offensively late.
How about the all-wheel drive? Are you kidding me?
biggest win since its showdown with New York, and another reminder how valuable Clark is in big moments. 4. This performance added to an impressive stretch of basketball. She
Sidestep Clark.
helped Indiana earn its first road win by playing a major role against Los Angeles, followed that with another double-double against Seattle, and looked on pace for a triple-double before Stephanie White gave her some
The action they were trying to do. Clark on the drive. Clark bothered by Jones. No good.
rest late in the game. After returning from a back injury against Golden State, Clark delivered a dominant stretch that helped Indiana take control early and finish the job. 5. Just a few games earlier, things looked very different. Against Golden State on the road, Clark found herself wide open for a key possession, calling
32 points, 8 of 18, 15 of 15 from the line, 7 rebounds.
for the basketball, but the pass never came. Indiana ended up losing that game by only 2 points, leaving many people wondering how different the outcome could have been. Clark answered the disappointment by staying focused on the next challenge. In the following game, her minutes were limited after foul trouble, and Indiana fell by 16 points to Portland. She finished with 22 minutes on the floor, and the result sparked plenty of discussion about the team's rotation and overall approach. That moment quickly became a major talking point online. Instead of letting it affect them, the Fever responded with back-to-back victories over Atlanta and Washington. Their next test came against New York, where missed free throws in a difficult fourth quarter allowed the Liberty to pull
10 assists, a great all-around game.
away. It was a frustrating loss, but it also highlighted an area Indiana needed to improve. Now came the rematch with Chicago, and this time the story was completely different. Clark stepped to the free throw line 15 times and converted every single attempt. She finished with 32 points and 10 assists, delivering one of her strongest performances of the 2026 season when her team needed it most. This was another example of why she continues to be one of the league's most impactful players. From beyond the three-point line, it wasn't her usual night. Clark connected on just 1 of 6 attempts, well below the standard fans have come to expect. But instead of forcing difficult shots, she adjusted her game. She attacked the basket over and over, earned trips to the free throw line, and made Chicago pay for every foul. She drew 9 fouls, scored 14 points in the paint, finished 7-for-12 on 2-point attempts, and went a perfect 15-for-15 from the line. Even without her three-point shot falling, she still found a way to score 32 points through smart decisions, aggressive drives, and steady execution. Clark's playmaking was just as impressive
Caitlin Clark had a gargantuan game, and I put her on triple-double alert.
as her scoring. She consistently spotted passing lanes before they fully developed and delivered accurate passes that gave her teammates easy opportunities. She connected with Aaliyah Boston in the post, created transition chances, and kept Indiana's offense moving even against Chicago's physical defense. During the game, she was assessed a technical foul, but it never changed her focus. She immediately regrouped, stepped back to the line, and calmly made the next free throw. That quick reset showed the confidence and composure she has displayed throughout the last few games. Clark finished with a +14 rating, meaning Indiana outscored Chicago by 14 points while she was on the court. Her impact was clear from beginning to end, and she played a major role in turning a difficult game into...
There were a couple of times tonight where Aaliyah Boston would sure enough have you scratching your head.
...to an overtime victory. Now let's look at how the game unfolded quarter by quarter. Indiana came out with confidence in the opening period, taking a 16-8 lead. Clark attacked the basket from the start, earned early trips to the free throw line, and set the tone with her aggressive play. The Fever looked sharp on both ends of the floor and played with the confidence of a team riding a winning streak. The second quarter belonged to Chicago. The Sky outscored Indiana 26-19 and quickly erased most of the early deficit. Sydney Taylor caught fire off the bench, knocking down shot after shot on her way to 30 points. She finished 10 for 14 from the field, 7 for 7 from three-point range, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line. It was one of the most efficient scoring performances of the night, and kept Chicago in control despite Indiana.
Mahisha Hines-Allen was clutch tonight. I understand that says 5 points.
A strong defensive effort. At halftime, the Fever's lead had been trimmed to just 1 point, 35-34. The third quarter was Indiana's toughest stretch. Chicago exploded for 39 points, while the Fever managed only 27. Taylor stayed hot. The Sky continued finding quality scoring opportunities, and Chicago built an 11-point advantage. For a while, it looked like Indiana might not recover. Clark continued attacking the basket, but her outside shot still wasn't falling, and Chicago took advantage of several defensive mistakes. Everything changed in the fourth quarter. Indiana responded with one of its strongest periods of the season, outscoring
Lexi Hall, 32 minutes, 11 points, 3 of 13.
Chicago 25-9 to erase the double-digit deficit. Clark kept putting pressure on the defense by driving into the lane, owning free throws, and creating chances for Aaliyah Boston inside. Instead of forcing difficult shots, the Fever stayed patient and slowly worked their way back into the game. When regulation ended, overtime became the deciding chapter. With the game still within reach, Indiana delivered its best basketball of the night. Clark calmly knocked down every free throw she attempted. Boston controlled the boards, and the Fever made the biggest plays when they mattered most. Their composure, teamwork, and execution helped seal an impressive comeback victory. Aaliyah Boston toned in one of the finest performances of her career. She scored 34 points, grabbed 12 rebounds, and recorded another double-double. Boston shot 13 for 26 from the field, made 2 of her 5 three-point attempts, and was perfect on all 6 free throws. Her work on the offensive glass made an enormous difference. Boston collected 7 offensive rebounds, helping Indiana score 14 second-chance points. Nearly every extra possession she created turned into points, giving the Fever valuable opportunities throughout the game. Chicago struggled to keep her away from a basket, and her physical presence inside opened even more space for Clark to operate as a scorer and playmaker. Kelsey Mitchell also made important contributions. She finished with 19 points on 7 for 17 shooting, added 2 three-pointers, and came up with 3 steals that helped Indiana create extra possessions. While her shooting from long range wasn't at its best, she continued attacking inside and made several key plays on both ends of the floor. The bench also stepped up. Damiris Dantas and the reserve group provided quality minutes, while Natasha Howard and the rest of the front court kept the energy high throughout the game. Mahisha Hines-Allen posted an outstanding +25 rating, bringing defense, rebounding, and hustle without needing a high-scoring total. Her effort helped stabilize the second unit whenever she was on the floor. Sydney Colson and Raven Johnson also provided valuable minutes, with Johnson knocking down a three-pointer and recording 2 steals. Those small contributions added up and gave Indiana the depth it needed during such a demanding game. Looking at the bigger picture, the Fever continued to show steady improvement. Their record now stands at 8-5 with 3 straight victories, but their recent performances suggest they are becoming a more complete team. What stood out most was Clark's ability to adapt. Even though her three-point shot wasn't falling, she still finished with 32 points by attacking the basket, drawing contact, and making every free throw. At the same time, Boston dominated inside with 34 points and 12 rebounds. When both stars are producing in different ways, Indiana becomes a very difficult team to defend. There are still areas that need attention. The Fever committed 18 turnovers, which Chicago converted into 20 points. Clark was responsible for 5 of those turnovers, and reducing those mistakes will be important against stronger defensive teams later in the season. Still, the biggest takeaway from this game was Clark's performance under pressure. Questions about whether Indiana could finish close games were answered in overtime. She stepped to the line 15 times and made every free throw, delivering when her team needed her most. With 3 straight wins, growing confidence, and 2 stars playing at a high level, Indiana heads into its next matchup against Connecticut with plenty of momentum. If Clark continues to perform with this level of poise and Boston keeps controlling the paint, the Fever will have every reason to feel confident as they continue building toward the rest of the 2026 season.